Jikkyō Power Pro Yaku, commonly referred to as Power Pro Baseball in the West, is finally available for gamers in Japan on the Switch. The series has been running since the Super Famicom days, and titles have seen releases, not recently, in the West over the years. While this version of Power Pros features Japanese teams, players, and stadiums, there still are loads of reasons why you shouldn't overlook this even if you're not a fan of Nippon professional baseball. Danny from the Famicast here, and this is my review for Jikkyō Power Pro Baseball on the Switch. Unlike the other two baseball series already available on the Switch, being RBI Baseball and Famicast Evolution, Power Pros is a lot more complex than it appears. This comes with batting, pitching, and fielding. It should be noted too that there are several options for controls that accommodate to first-time players, containing a lot of autoplay, up to more complex player input-only levels of difficulty. Personally, while I've played the Power Pro series before, and lots of other baseball titles, I opted to go with the normal option for the majority of my time with the game. This gameplay portion of the review is based on that setting. First, let's start up with the batting mechanics. So you're able to move your cursor around with the joystick to try to position your bat. Whenever you remove your thumb from the joystick, it springs back to the center. If you're using the analog cursor, the cursor will actually stay in place when you do this. I found that the digital cursor is a little bit easier when it comes to accurately being able to hit the ball. Now, speaking of hitting, pressing B performs a standard swing, while A allows you to try for bunts. To add a little bit more oomph to your swings, pressing the R button will allow players to opt for a more powerful swing. Now, the advantages here are obvious, however, the cursor to hit the ball shrinks a significant amount, and this can be toggled on and off before the pitcher throws the ball. Base running is also a little bit complex, but not too difficult to get a grasp on. So once the ball is hit into play and your runner is heading to base, players are prompted to hit the L and R buttons at the same time to get a burst of speed. Now, you don't have to do this, but it does give you a bit of an advantage on the bases. As far as I know, there isn't a way to turn this off, and it can be a bit awkward and tiring in a gamer sense, to be honest here, and it's one of my least favorite aspects of the offensive play. At the same time, this does give you a little bit more of a sense of control over the fate of your runners. Of course, you also have the ability to steal bases as well as direct your on-base runners. Pressing the X button advances all the runners while A calls them back. And unless I missed it, in this normal setting, you can only advance or call back all runners rather than individually. Pitches are assigned 2 directional arrows. You can choose your pitch by pressing the desired direction corresponding to a pitch with either the joystick or the D-pad. Now, after deciding where to throw your pitch with the joystick, B initiates the pitch. Different pitchers, just like in real life, have some pitches that are really good at performing what they're set out to do. And this is indicated by a number next to the pitch. So if you have a pitcher that has a number 5 ranked slider, the ball is going to have quite a bit of movement. Now, at the same time, if you have a curveball that has a 1 next to it, chances are there isn't going to be a lot of movement on the pitch. It's a challenge to throw in a good mix of pitches to get your opponents out, but it feels really good and responsive. Also, to add a bit of variety, you are able to change the camera mode at any time of both the pitching and the batting by pressing in the right analog stick. Now, the default camera is up close to the batter with the pitcher in the distance, but while pitching, you're able to put the camera behind your pitcher, and also these other camera modes as well. Yeah, this is a nice touch that really adds to the realism. Fielding feels incredibly realistic. Now, when trying to go after a ball that is in play, there is a certain amount of weight and momentum to the players on the field. They can't turn or stop on a dime. You have to take good trajectories toward the ball to ensure that you can either get some outs or at least just stop a rally from happening. But throwing to the bases is simple, with each base button corresponding to a base. As long as your player is in good position when fielding a ball, they'll make a smooth throw. Conversely, if they make an off-balance throw, this increases the chance for errors or just the ball not making it to the base in time. It feels fast, and it really offers a level of realism that the other big-name baseball games on the Switch really lack. Power Pros on the Switch comes packed full of tons of modes that can provide dozens and dozens and dozens of hours worth of gameplay. Now, I went through most of these modes in detail on separate videos, however this is still something that I really think should be talked about here in the review. Of course, the Versus area of the game offers all kinds of different ways to play. There's multiplayer, online play, and even a Narikiri mode, which is kind of like a My Player mode, that gives you the ability to play through the game as one athlete, i.e. only control that character on defense and offense. With the Versus area alone, there really is quite a bit to do. Now, home run attack is pretty basic and is separated into 2 play types, score attack and home run battle. Here you have the ability to duke it out against a computer or 4 friends in an attempt to score as many points as possible by hitting the ball as far as you can. Now, I've went into detail about this before in another video, but I will say that this mode is really easy to pick up and play and is probably a lot of fun to play with friends. Haven't had actually a chance to play with too many friends with this. For a more deep experience, Pennant mode is where it's at. Here you have the ability to play through multiple seasons with the team of your choosing. The mode is incredibly, and optionally, detailed. I mean, there's so many options that you could turn on or off here. Things related to free agency, bringing in foreign players, injury, managing your first and second tier player teams. I mean, if I were to go through everything that you could do here, I'd probably be rambling on for about 10 minutes or more. I mean, heck, even in this mode, you could even play through the previously mentioned My Player mode to get through your season a bit faster. If you're really into a simulation kind of experience, Pennant can keep you busy for a long time. Treasure mode, the newest addition to the series, is another easy to pick up and play mode. Again, I've went through this mode in detail in another video, so I'll just be touching on it briefly here. So in Treasure, you're in control of a team of scrubs playing exhibition games against Japanese pro teams. While playing here, and in the other modes of the game, you will actually obtain items that can be used to boost your player's stats and abilities. Playing the games here actually doesn't put you through an entire game, but rather just sections of the games. They go by very quickly, but are great to try if you only have a little bit of time on your hands. The other 2 modes here, Success Mode and My Life, are some that I really didn't put a whole lot of time into, but I'll give you a brief rundown of my experience with them. Success Mode has you create a player and take them through an entire baseball career. You start off in high school and try to work your way up to a starter on that team, and then eventually you're trying to become a pro player. There are a lot of RPG-like elements to be found here, as well as a lot of text. So on top of building up your player and playing baseball, you can also hang out with friends, go on dates, and more. If you're not familiar with Japanese, or you don't want to hold your phone up to the TV or your Switch using Google Translate's camera option, this mode might be a little lost on you. Now, the same can be said about My Life mode. Now, the mode is pretty similar to Success, however, you create and control a player as he is working his way up the ranks of a professional team. There are other elements here as well, and a lot of text. Personally, I can see the appeal for both of these modes, however, be aware that they are packed with Japanese, and it will take some time and effort to get enjoyment out of them if you don't know the language. There is an online mode here that can be found under the Versus menu. Now, to get into a game, players will either have to create a match, complete with setting the number of innings and other rules, or you can join an already created one. Now, even when trying to get into a match shortly after the game was released, there weren't really a whole lot of runes or matches available. When I could connect to a game, the experience wasn't bad. I didn't experience much lag over my Wi-Fi connection here too, but one thing I did notice was that the speed of my pitches seemed to be going in pretty slowly. I mean, sure, I was playing as the Saitama Seibu Lions and the bullpen kind of sucks, but it just looked a little bit off to me. Now, I mentioned this in previous videos, but the online ranking section of Home Run Attack, so this is still kind of broken. It's kind of a shame, really, considering that pretty much everything else of the game is rock solid. Again, it's possible that this could be fixed in a future patch, but with the current version of the game that I'm using, which is the most current firmware, basically the ranking mode part of Home Run Attack is unusable. Despite the simplistic looking character models, Power Pros on the Switch is fantastic visually. The game runs at 60 frames per second, both in docked and handheld mode, and in my time so far with the game, I haven't witnessed any slowdown at all. The presentation is top-notch here too. The opening cinematics before and after the games are believable and pretty realistic, despite these rotund characters, and the entirety of the game is even called by a play-by-play announcer, in Japanese of course. They even have a section after the game showcasing the player of the game, having a mock reporter interview said player. The replays are also pretty frequent here too, showing off the good plays that are made either on offense or defense. Now, in an effort to make the experience in Power Pros more realistic, even small details like the crowd chanting for specific players when they're up to bat, the spot-on recreations of the stadiums, complete with the advertisements that appear in the real park, fielding animations complete with appropriate levels of momentum and balance. I mean, there's just so much stuff here, so many details, I could just go on and on. Now, I will go on a little bit more about the crowd. So, Konami put in individual character models in each of the seats of the stands that all move on their own and also react to balls that are hit their way. Sure, they're cute and feature the same aesthetics of the players themselves, but this little detail is just something that you really don't see in other baseball games on the Switch and possibly other consoles. Konami really knocked it out of the park here. As it stands right now, Power Pro Baseball on the Switch is the definitive baseball game on the system. Heck, I mean, the game even has amiibo support, its own special amiibo for those who pick up the game physically. I know for a lot of baseball fans who know next to nothing about Japanese baseball teams or players, this could be a little bit of a turnoff. And part of the appeal of sports games to gamers is the ability to play as teams and characters or players that you love. Now, I would argue that even if you're not too familiar with the Japanese Baseball League, the gameplay is the real star of the game, and that is what's going to win you over here. It also should be noted that some of the online aspects of the game, a little bit unsatisfactory with that one part not working at all. But despite these issues, if you're looking for a baseball game that has spot-on controls and tons of modes at your disposal, this is a game that you need on your Switch. Final score for Power Pro Baseball on the Nintendo Switch, 9 out of 10. As always, thank you for checking out this video. If you like what you see, please feel free to give us a like. If you're new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe. We got tons of podcasts, video reviews, special videos, and a whole lot more. Again, this is Danny from the Famicast. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.